Good morning and welcome to this weekly markets update from AGM Markets. Today is the 29th of April 2014. What we'll do today is go through some technical analysis on Euro dollar, cable, dollar Swiss, Aussie and gold. Just to review what's been going on in the markets in terms of last week and give some sort of outlook for this week in terms of technical analysis. For any of you followers out there, we have three moving averages on each of these charts. The red one is a 50 simple moving average. The purple is 100 simple, and the gold is a 200 simple moving average. Okay, let's have a quick look at the Forex calendar actually, just to see what's coming out in terms of this week. Doing this video on a Tuesday, normally do it on a Monday, but yesterday it was quite quiet. Yesterday the only high impact news that was out was US pending home sales month on month. That came out better than expected at 3.4%. So in terms of sort of high impact news that we got coming out this week, so today UK at 9:30. There's quite a bit of mid-impact data today. For example, we just had Spanish unemployment rate come out just weaker than expected. But in terms of let's just focus on the high impact stuff. So UK, we've got preliminary GDP numbers quarter on quarter at 9:30 GMT. At 3 PM with US consumer confidence figures, and at 8:30 PM we have the Bank of Canada governor speaking as well, for any of you that trade the loonie. On Wednesday, quite a bit of data out. Let's just focus on the high impact stuff, otherwise we'll be here all day. Overnight, for anyone who trades the Kiwi, of the ANZ business confidence, tentative throughout the sort of night. We've got the monetary policy statement out from Japan, and the BOJ press conference as well. At 10 AM GMT, we have from the Eurozone, we have the CPI flash estimate year-on-year number. We're expecting a beat on the previous there at 0.8%. At 1:15 PM, we have US ADP non-farm employment change data. That's forecasted 203,000 versus the previous 191,000, so it's a bigger expected number. It's interesting as well because it's the 200,000 is the sort of key line in the sand there. So if we do get above 200,000, then we should get a very strong US dollar, I'd have thought. At 1:30 PM out of Canada, we have Canadian GDP month on month. We're expecting a slightly, Forex Factory says expected a slightly weaker number there. We also have from the US as well, so the advanced GDP quarter on quarter numbers. Previous was 2.6. I think that's revised down actually. Yeah, revised from 3.2. And the forecast is 1.2. So we expect a much weaker number there from the US, which is quite interesting to note, I think. And at 7 PM with the FOMC statement, so keep an eye on that. That's very important in terms of the markets. At 9:15 PM with the Bank of Canada, Governor Pelosi speaking again. On Thursday, we have overnight from China, so you've got the manufacturing PMI there. At 9:30, we have more UK data, so you've got the manufacturing PMI this time. Expected fairly similar from the previous number there. At 1:30, we have Fed Chair Yellen speaking. We also have the weekly jobless claims as well. I'm expecting another high number there at 317,000. At 3 PM, we have the US ISM manufacturing PMI as well, expecting a slight beat there from the previous. And to round it off on Friday, of course, it's the first Friday in the month. So, first of all, we have the Aussie PPI quarter on quarter as well. Keep an eye on that. That's at 2:30 AM for any of you that trade overnight. We also have UK construction PMI, expecting big number there, 62.2. But of course, it is the US non-farm employment change, the monthly payroll. So it's forecast at 216,000 from the previous 192. So again, like ADP, key line in the sand is 200,000, in my opinion. If we get of course, the forecast, because everything's sort of priced in, so it's all based on the forecast. Don't worry. If it does hit 200,000, don't expect the dollar to get strong, because it probably won't, because it's all about first the forecast number. But still, And the unemployment rate is expected to drop here, so Forex Factory is forecasting 6.6% from the previous 6.7%. But no, it should be an interesting week. Quite a bit of data out, quite a bit of big data out. And of course it's NFP week, so it's always going to be interesting. Okay, let's flip it to the chart. So let's have a look at this euro dollar. This is the weekly chart. What's been going on? What have we been focused on? Obviously, we just have a brief look at this weekly. The setup that we've been focusing on is this one here. So this is just a fib from the yearly low to the yearly high of 2014. Lovely uptrend retracement. Buyers coming in off this sort of 50%. So I'm just going to take the 78.6 off it. We don't normally focus on that. So just keep it nice and simple for the video. So buyers coming in off the sort of 50%, 61.8% zone, and buying up, and it looks like it just wants to grind higher towards that 0.0 level, and that comes at 1.3966s, remember. And that's pretty much it in terms of the weekly. I mean, we spoke about this sort of move before, but that's no longer sort of in play at the minute. There's nothing. I mean, yeah, the 61.8 is sort of a key line in the sand still, but it's not really in focus at the minute. In terms of last week's weekly candle, it's just a standard sort of bullish continuation pattern, really. I mean, it didn't engulf the previous, but it's got a nice bit of lower wick there, similar to the previous week's candle as well. So buyers sort of holding it up, and we'll show you why it's been holding up on the 4-hour chart actually. But yes, I mean, you can see currently already this week it's starting to pop a bit. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, if we get a weaker NFP sort of below that 200,000, I would not be surprised to see these highs get blown out completely. And then we're sort of looking at like 140s here. Would not be surprised to see that happen this week if we get some weak US data. Let's flip it to the daily. So it's the same setup. But the reason why we're sort of holding, and obviously you got that big fib, but then remember last week's video, I think we spoke about this move here off the 50%. So it's the smaller fib within that bigger fib. 50% comes at 1.3789. Nice 50-day moving averages. We're as well here. Sorry, propping it up. So we got below that. Bounced off the 50%, closed above, and it's now acting as support. So it's just really nice technical move, to be honest. I mean, the counter move was this one here we spoke about, and that came off a 78.6. But I mean, I'm not a massive fan of 78.6. It doesn't tend to hold as well, in my opinion, because it's a too big a retracement. I think it was going past the 50% and 61.8, and it just, I mean, you can see here the bigger move is holding. As we spoke about before, the bigger moves tend to hold than the smaller moves. But I mean, that smaller bullish move within the bigger move is just sort of extra emphasis, in my opinion, and that's why we're sort of coming up there in that nice 50-day moving average support as well. So lots of technicals coincide in there. Nice supports. I mean, we've had last week we had 138s as well. Nice round number acting as support there. So lots of confluence, previous resistance around here as well. So 138s and this mini 50% was a lovely fib last week. Yeah, if I flip it to the 4-hour there, you can see as well, really nice technical action. So I don't know, 138s went, yeah, 138s as well. Nice spikes off there, multiple candle spikes, and yeah, just really nice action. So that's pretty much it in terms of euro. I mean, I wouldn't personally be looking at any of the fibs fading this move. And if you're a really aggressive buyer, you can look at on the 1 hour these sort of smaller aggressive moves. So we had that smaller one there, and then if you extend your high up, there's another smaller move there as well off the 61.8% retracement yesterday as well, which played out quite nicely. Okay, let's have a look at cable on the weekly chart. Cable is just in grind higher mode. I mean, I said over the last couple of weeks, do not be surprised if you see some sort of retracement because it's testing these 2009 highs, but it's just continuing to grind up. I mean, the key line in the sand, I still think, is these 168s. But I mean, the reason I say that is because last week it didn't close above. So so it could still, this week, I mean, yes, we're currently above it at the minute, but it could still easily form a reversal candle and close below. But I mean, Euro looks bullish as well, and they do tend to sort of follow each other, so obviously it's linked with the US dollar, so it really is about NFP this week. I think if we get a weak number, then it's just easily going to close above this level, but if we get a strong number, then we could get a big reversal candle here, and it could get very interesting in terms of next week. And then we'll obviously, in terms of this weekly chart, this is the sort of key move here, the obvious move, but of course we're a long way away from that. The daily chart hasn't been that interesting in terms of sort of last week. I mean, it's just been grinding higher, sort of chopping around. I mean, you can see last week it was trading inside a very sort of tight range. This was pretty much the range last week, pretty much like a 50 pip range there. So you can see that sort of spike high there. Yes, in terms of February, spike high in February was a key sort of resistance last week, and that played out very nicely. Also, sort of, I mean, the lower spikes here, and the sort of you can use that the low. You can see that resistance there where we got the closes below, acted as nice support. So yeah, that's pretty much it in terms of last week. In terms of K, we see on there the 4 hour as well. So yeah, I mean, in terms of cable, in terms of short-term stuff, there's nothing majorly that I'm personally focused on in terms of purely just the 168s here. If we do come down, see what sort of candle action happens. Actually, no, yesterday there was a nice off 168.50s, I think. Yeah, 168.50s was a lovely resistance yesterday. You can see it a bit clearer there on the 4 hour chart. But I mean, that looks like, I mean, you can already see this current 4 hour candle is pretty much eyeing that already, and would not be surprised to see that pop and get some more bullish sort of traction towards the 167 would be the next sort of level, the next sort of key round number. Not 167, sorry, 169. So that's the next one to look out for. In terms of me, in terms of short term stuff, I'm just keeping an eye in some of these 50 pip increments and see if you can get any sort of intraday price action. So let's say it pops above, it could pop up, test 169's reverse, decent selling opportunity, then come back down and test 168.50s perhaps, and then get another sort of buying opportunity. So that's personally how I'm looking at it. I mean, I'm not looking at any sort of fibs from around here, etc. They're not that pure. I mean, yesterday it's sort of, that one technically played out, but it's not a pure move like this one here, for example. Nice pure clean uptrend, nice retracement and then rip up, or this one here as well. So I mean, that was a nice one, but this one, when it's chopping around like this, it's not a high odds play, in my opinion. Dollar Swiss in terms of the weekly, all I'm really focused on this week. We've got that big setup there after 61.8. Sellers going to be looking to, it's just in grind lower mode in terms of the overall picture. Of course, we're still a long way away from that 0% line, but in terms of a near sort of key level, the nearest sort of key support in terms of this, you can see is this 50% at 0.85 19s, and that's the level we'll keep an eye out for in terms of long-term swing move there. In terms of the sort of recent candle action on the weekly, how was last week's candle? Nothing major. I mean, yes, it looks like a bit of a reversal. I mean, bias on the euro dollar is bullish towards the upside, and these charts have been doing a mirror image for a while, so the bias is still technically towards the downside. But you do have this short-term support at 0.87 to keep an eye out for. It needs to, if we're going to get a quick move to the downside, then it's obviously got to break that, but that could still keep on acting as interesting sort of support. And of course, price does like to move back to its moving averages, so, and it is making higher lows here as well, so there's nothing stopping it continuing to form. I don't know, perhaps producing a nice sort of retrace up to the 50-week moving average, or of course, similar to euro, looking at this fib here, from the high of 2014 to the low, it's already played out nice with the 50%, but we are making these higher lows, remember, so there's nothing stopping it making a retest of that. But that's pretty much the focus on dollar Swiss in terms of the weekly. Similar thing on the daily as well. you do have the 0.88, which is acting as sort of nice support at the minute. Well, actually not that technically, to be honest, but in terms of this daily, it's the sort of key line in the sand for the day. I mean, we're currently below it, but yesterday you can see we had a big spike below and then it closed above. In terms of the 4 hour, there's nothing major of interest, to be honest. I think you got 87 in terms of, it's just about the 50 pip increments. So I think if you got 87.50s there, it acted as nice support. It's just not as technical, I don't think, in terms of euro. I think there's more interesting setups on euro that are playing out. I mean, this one here was quite a nice one we spoke about, but the counter move is just not holding. So it does look, I mean, it is struggling to pop up, but don't be surprised to see it pop up because it is still a long way away from its moving averages. But you can see the sort of current line, the interesting level at the minute is 0.8786, which is that 61.8% retrace, but it does need to form a strong reversal, in my opinion, for it to come up and see some sort of retracement. Aussie dollar, in terms of the weekly, what have we been talking about? We've been talking about these two fibs here. So of course, with that one played out and then potentially extending the low, or looking at this one first of all. I think that came off the 78.6. I may be wrong. I have a very short-term memory. No, it didn't quite come off. I know it was off the round number, wasn't it? 0.94 handle is the current sort of resistance that we're looking at on weekly on Aussie. But I think, I mean, we got this key close by the 50-week moving average, which I think is significant. And it could, I mean, yes, you can see the last couple of weeks it's starting to retrace, but I would not be surprised to still see it grind higher towards this 100-week moving average. In terms of this on the weekly chart, this is definitely the fib to keep an eye out for. Reason being, it's just a lovely uptrend. It's the low of 2013 to the high of 2013, and this 50% retracement coincides with previous resistance around here as well, so it could act as new support. In terms of daily, it's the same fib for me. I mean, there's definitely some room to the downside here, no doubt. I mean, in terms of the overall picture, I still think it will continue to grind high, perhaps. Although the last couple of weeks' candles do look quite bullish. But in terms of the next big support, is definitely this 50% here. In my opinion, that comes at 0.90, 60s, and then you could draw 0.90 50s, which will come in just below that as a nice bit of confluence there as well. So in terms of short-term stuff, I think, as I spoke about this in last week's video, it's just looking to sort of sell any dips, in my opinion. So we had this recent one here. Played out very nicely. That was last week. In fact, yesterday I think as well came off. No, I think it was last Friday. So it's just a standard sort of dip. As there's lots of room to the downside, the way I'm personally looking at it is just looking at any sort of interesting dips that came off 50% pretty much to the pip and 50 SMA. Really technical move. That nice downtrend, nice uptrend, a bit of reversal candle was weird, and it just went straight down to this 50%, and it's currently trying to hang on. You can see there. So, and then any of the really aggressive short-term players will be looking at sort of 1 hour or even 30-minute chart, and taking, I would have thought, taking this high here and this low here, and trying to sell it off that 50%. And that comes in, the 50% comes in 0.9222s there. So some interesting stuff there on the Aussie. Gold on the weekly, nothing has changed on the weekly or the daily, in my opinion, in terms of the last few weeks. It's all about this setup, I reckon. And this key 50% line, key line in the sand, these 1286s. You can see last week it tested it again, came back down, but we posted a close above. There was, I think it was on Friday or Thursday, there was a rumour of that Putin was going to hold an emergency press conference, and we got a really strong gold there, so it was below the 50%, I think. And in fact, if I flip it to the sort of 15-30 minute chart, you'll be able to see, yeah, there it was, that move there. So we were below this 50%, and that was it. It was the 1270s, I think I tweeted it. 1270s, lovely action there, and then Putin came out and it really popped up. So that was a very technical move. But in terms of the overall picture in terms of that weekly, it's all about this fib move, and to be honest, it just needs to get above this 50-week moving average. I know we closed above it there and had a bit of a fake out, but you can see it's currently capping these last couple of weekly candles. So this week's candle was very interesting, I think. I mean, as I say, if we get a week NFP number, it will probably fly up, and then we're sort of looking at these 100-week moving average, I'd have thought. So in terms of daily, same thing there. 1286 is key level, and of course that 1270s that I spoke about as well. And if you're looking to sell any pop up, then that could be the first sort of fib move there. I mean, I'm not a massive fan, and then all that, even that one now I think is the better one, because we have previous resistance at these sort of 1330s as well. And if you're a very aggressive buyer, short-term aggressive buyer, then you'll flip it to the sort of 4-hour or even 1 hour. Then this is the current sort of move that I'm personally keeping an eye out for, to see how it sort of acts. And that 50% comes at 1287s. It also coincides with previous support there as well. You can see in previous sort of resistance, so it could be an interesting move. But the 1286 is definitely the key line in the sand. In fact, that small move does coincide, because that's 1287s, it does sort of coincide with that 50% there. You can see there thickening up there, so definitely an interesting one to watch. I'm personally going to be keeping an eye on that and see how it acts. Okay, then that's all for today. Hope you found that video useful. Hope you have a great rest of the week trading. Keep an eye on the data, because there is a lot coming out, especially NFP on Friday. And I'll catch you next Monday. Have a great week trading. Thanks for watching.